it's desert like Vegas. It has like a small strip of casinos, so a lot of people go there for like bachelor parties or weekends, like getaway weekends. But it's also a small town where people live, and this was where Michaela Ray Costanzo lived. Michaela went by Mickey, so I am just going to refer to her as Mickey for the rest of this video. Mickey was a beautiful 16-year-old girl. She was in her junior year at West Wendover High School. Mickey was very popular. She had lots of friends. She was very athletic. She played volleyball and track. And she also worked on her school's newspaper. Mickey was extremely close with her mom and sisters. She was actually the youngest of 3 girls. Mickey's mom would describe her as a very mature and responsible. She would always check in and let her mom know where she was, and she was just a happy, very positive girl. On March 3rd, 2011, school was over and extracurricular activities were just kind of wrapping up. Mickey was just finishing track practice, and she stayed after a little bit to help gather up all of the equipment. Now, normally her older sister would pick her up after practice and drive her home, but her sister was out of town. So Mickey was just going to walk the mile home from her school to her house. Celia, Mickey's mom, realized Mickey hadn't called when she made it home, so usually she would call and check in when she got home. And this was pretty out of character for Mickey. Like I said, she was very good about letting her mom know where she was. So she calls to check in, but Mickey never answered. Her phone just rang and rang and rang, and then it went to voicemail. She waited a few more minutes, kind of expecting Mickey to return the call. But when she didn't, she tried to call her again. And this time, the phone rang once, and then it was sent straight to voicemail. Celia was pretty concerned because she never had trouble getting a hold of Mickey. So she called Christina, Mickey's oldest sister. And this is her oldest sister who's out of town. She was on vacation in Las Vegas, just to see if Christina had heard from Mickey. Christina hadn't, and she was kind of like, Mom, she's probably fine, but I'll try to get a hold of her. But Mickey didn't answer Christina's calls either. Now her sister wasn't super concerned. She kind of just assumed that Mickey was hanging out with friends and she was probably just fine. But when Celia finds out that Mickey is also not answering Christina's calls, she leaves work and goes home to check on Mickey. She just had this gut feeling that something bad had happened. Celia rushes home to find DJ, her middle child, there alone. And at this point, Celia is in a full-on panic. So DJ kind of jumps into action and begins seen or heard from Mickey. Word spread pretty fast, and people started to panic when everyone realized no one else had seen Mickey. No one had heard from her. And about 100 kids actually showed up at West Wendover High School and began looking for her right away. At this point, Celia decides to call police and let them know that her daughter is missing. Celia tells police that Mickey had not reached out to any of her friends, and no one knew where she was. The Wendover Police Department began searching for Mickey right away. But it had been hours since the last time Mickey was seen. It's dark outside and her family is just freaking out. DJ, Mickey's sister, kept calling her phone over and over and over, begging her to come home, begging her to be okay. But DJ's calls would just ring and ring and ring, and eventually she would be sent to voicemail. Christina, Mickey's older sister, hears that Mickey still hasn't been found, and it's been about 12 hours since she was last seen leaving track practice, so she leaves Vegas and rushes home to be with her family. As the sun rose that next morning, over 130 people were actively searching for Mickey. The morning news picked up her story and began covering the case of the missing Wendover girl. Police began looking at Mickey's cell phone pings, trying to see if they could determine her location, because at this point her cell phone is still ringing, so it hasn't been shut off. While some investigators were working on that, others began questioning the family and those closest to Mickey. We know this is kind of always where police begin investigations into missing people, with the friends and family members, as typically it's someone close to the victim who is involved. Mickey's boyfriend, Javier, was brought in for questioning. He told police that she hadn't been acting like out of character or anything like that in the days leading up to her disappearance. Everything seemed totally normal for her. He didn't think that she had run away or even would run away. He said Mickey was not the type of girl to run or hide from her problems, and that he wasn't aware that she had any major life issues going on. Police would get Mickey's cell phone records and find out that all calls and texts from Mickey's phone stopped at 5 p.m. She just stopped using her phone. There was no outgoing activity. This was around the time that track practice had ended. Her calls indicated that she and her friends and family, her calls indicated, like the call log, that her friends and family had been actively trying to get a hold of her, but she hadn't been active on her phone. But police did notice that there was one specific number that had called her just before she stopped using her cell phone. And this number had called her several times. was engaged. He was living with his fiancée, a girl named Toni, and they lived with her parents. So police bring Cody in because he's one of the last people to speak to Michelle before she went missing. Cody told police that he saw her around 5:30 the day she went missing. He said they had been out in front of the school after track practice, and he saw her standing in front of the school with a guy he thought was Javier, her boyfriend, but he didn't talk to them. But now he tells police now that he's thinking about it, he can't be sure it was Javier. While police are questioning Cody, he's explaining that he is exhausted from being up all night searching for Mickey, so the details are a little bit fuzzy. In the meantime, everyone is still out searching for Mickey. It has now been about 36 hours since she was last seen. The search had expanded from inside the town of Wendover to the Wendover desert. And once police began expanding the search, Mickey's family realized they would probably never see Mickey alive again. The search was happening miles and miles into the desert, and it didn't look good. 3 days after Mickey went missing, something would be found that would give police hope that they were searching in the right direction. They found these tire tracks that went from the main road off onto dirt. So there's kind of a main road, and then they noticed there were tire tracks off just out into the desert. So this area led to an area that locals called the gravel pits. So search crews began to follow the tire tracks, and as they followed them, they noticed there was an area of disturbed sagebrush. Upon further inspection, they noticed there was blood on and near the sagebrush. So they begin recording the crime scene as they're kind of looking through it. They begin digging carefully, and they would find human remains. So they call in crime scene investigators. But the investigators couldn't get there right away because the closest unit was located in Reno, Nevada, she didn't even leave through the front doors, and they know Cody had followed her out the back doors. But Cody is adamant to police he was never behind the school. They finally tell him, like, we have footage that proves you're lying. Then Cody gets very quiet and he asks to speak to his dad, whom I guess he wasn't even very close with. His dad goes into the room and the police leave. Now, I don't know if this conversation between Cody and his father was recorded or not, but as far as I can tell, it has never been released. Police are standing right outside the door, though, and then they hear someone screaming and crying. They open the door, and Cody's father is hysterical. When police enter, Cody's father says to Cody, "You have to tell them the truth." So through tears, he is like begging his son to come clean. There is a recording of Cody's father, and I think this was like police camera, like body cam footage of Cody's father saying through tears, quote, "What you did was heinous, Cody. You have to tell the truth." And then Cody begins talking. Cody tells police that he gave Mickey a ride, and while he was driving her home, she demanded that he break up with Toni, his fiancée, and date her instead. Cody said he told her no, and Mickey got mad and started yelling and hitting him. They ended up driving out to the desert to talk. They got out of the car and the fight really turned physical. According to Cody, she hit him and he pushed her, and she fell down and hit her head. He said that she laid there on the ground and then she started seizing, and he panicked. He didn't know what to do, so he grabbed a shovel from his car and hit her in the head, but she wouldn't quit making these noises. So he cut her throat and killed her. Then freaked out and buried her, burned all of her clothes, and left. Now, the damage to Michaela's body did not line up with what Cody was saying, but he admitted to killing her, so he was arrested and charged with murder. But no one really believed the story, like the why, like that he had just snapped and killed her. And people didn't understand or didn't believe the part of the story where Mickey would demand Cody break up with Toni and date her. The story didn't line up with Mickey's life. Like, she was dating Javier and they were very happy. Both the prosecution and the defense got to work preparing for the trial, and Cody was potentially facing the death penalty. Then one day, Cody's lawyer is in his office and he gets a visit from Toni, along with Cody's father. Like, they came in together. She wanted to speak to the lawyer, and his lawyer recorded the conversation. Toni said that on the day that Mickey was murdered, she got a text from Cody that said, "I have her." And Toni knew that Cody had picked up Mickey and that he was then coming to pick up her. This was like the plan. someone was obviously lying because they were telling two different stories of what had happened. The prosecution decided they needed to do something, so they decided to offer Cody a deal. They said they would take the death penalty off the table if he would testify against Toni. He agreed, and then he tells police a third version of what happened that day. He said at school that day, Toni saw Mickey in the hall and called her a slut. He said that he convinced the two girls to talk it out because he was friends with Mickey, but Toni was a little bit jealous of the friendship. So they picked Mickey up after track practice at school so they could talk it out. He said they drove out to the gravel pits together, and this is about as far as he makes it in this third confession when his lawyer shows up and immediately stops the interview. So police are forced to leave the room so that the lawyer can speak with his client in private. And when police come back in, Cody tells them he has changed his mind and he won't be taking the deal. So I guess he just decided to take his chances in court. So they go to Toni and they offer her a deal. They offer her second-degree murder with a chance of parole after 18 years if she testified against Cody. And she agrees. She said that Cody didn't like Mickey. She annoyed him and it was just getting worse and worse. So that day he texted Toni and he said that he had Mickey and they were coming to pick Toni up. And the three of them drove off. Except she says Mickey wasn't in the car with them. Mickey was stuffed into the back of the car. When they got to the gravel pits, Cody sent Toni a text even though they were sitting in the car next to each other. And the text said, "We have to kill her." Cody then got out of the car and dug a grave, then got Mickey out and began hitting her with a shovel. Toni said she stayed in the car until he forced her out and told her to hit Mickey with the shovel. She said she was so scared for her life that she did what Cody told her to do. Afterwards, they got into the car and went to McDonald's. They got some food and then they burned Mickey's clothes. Toni said she has no idea why Cody did it, but he was very abusive and angry, and she knew that if it hadn't been Mickey, it would have been her. So police now have her confession. Her plea deal was signed, but still, the story just didn't add up. And then police would uncover something that would make a little bit more sense. So Toni, I guess, had always been a very avid journal keeper, and police found her journal. Somehow Cody's defense lawyer had gotten hold of it and turned it over to them. In this diary, she had written that she was scared Cody wouldn't actually marry her. And I guess Cody had been having an affair with another woman for a year. So I guess maybe Toni was picking up on this, but she just assumed the affair was with Mickey because he had always been close to Mickey. So she's writing about how she knows Cody is having this affair with Mickey. She wrote about how she hated herself. She had all of this anger and she had thoughts of ending her life. She was terrified she was going to lose her boyfriend, her fiance, like the love of her life. Like she felt like she was losing Cody to Mickey. She wrote how she absolutely hated Mickey. She considered her a threat to her relationship, her future with Cody. She hated that they were friends, and she had apparently told Cody he wasn't allowed to see or talk to Mickey ever again. So this was like the only motive that police could ever find for Mickey's murder, was that Toni wanted her out of Cody's life, and Cody obliged. So weeks after this, Cody decides to plead guilty. He said in court, quote, "I am not all to blame for her murder, but there is no justification for what I did." Cody was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, but Toni had already signed her plea deal. So she had to do time, but she didn't really go down for the murder in the same way that Cody did. So Toni was actually eligible for parole in January of 2022. That was the first time she became eligible, but her parole was denied. Mickey's family will do anything they can to keep Toni behind bars. They feel like she never took responsibility for her part in Mickey's murder. And this is kind of a frustrating case because we know who did it. There was a trial. People are behind bars for it, but we'll probably never know exactly why and how the murder of Michaela Costanzo went down. And that's just